Hi everyone, it's been way too long since I checked in with you and offered you more of these breathing related and self-awareness related techniques that I've been using in my clinic with my patients. So just wanted to check in again with something that I've done, which is a body scan, and it's a 3-layer body scan. And we look at the body with an interest that's a little bit abstract. So we'll go through 3 layers. I'll name a part of your body, and the first scan will do a color. So you'll just come up with any color, even if you have to imagine it, even if you just have to pick any color that just pops into your mind. The second scan will do a texture, and textures can be something like soft, fluffy, hard, gritty. They can be also things that you would find in nature, like leafy, grassy, these kinds of things that you would feel or would give you an experience, sensory experience. And then after that, we're going to do an emotional scan. And so an emotion, I bought myself this little emotional thing for my patients, particularly for kids. Some really good ones in there that you might have been able to read, like surprised, happy, silly, loved, sad, sick, scared, calm, sleepy, angry, embarrassed, these kinds of things. So I just wanted to check in again and also remind you that when we're dealing with the autonomic nervous system, or this system that kind of automatically takes control when things are feeling scary, generally, or when we're feeling threatened or challenged. So just to remind you that this system is aware of what's going on around us. So it's aware of any sensory input that will come from anywhere around us, as far reaching as our sensory system can be. So any sounds, smells, anything we can see, how we're analysing people, whether we're analysing their posture, their facial expressions, the way they're speaking, the tone they're using, the words they're using, whether that matches them. So there's all of this going on. But also, we've got what's going on inside our body. So our body might be saying, my left foot's sore. And then that noxious stimulation's coming up into our brain, and often we're just overwhelmed and we don't know what to do with it. I know that when I talk to patients about it, they try to block it out. They're like, I'll take that to the osteo, or I'll ignore it, or I'll push through it. And one thing that I notice is that when I have an injury, I look after it. Or if I have a pain, I notice it and I acknowledge it and I feel it. And so I've learnt within my own body experience that whenever I have a dysfunction or a pain or something that's bothering me in my body, then I'll often have an emotion that goes with it, like frustration, this is holding me back, or sadness, I can't do what I want to do, I'm missing out, or anger, or these kinds of things, doubt in myself. So if you have any questions about that introduction, let me know. Get in touch with me, reply to this, or get in touch with me at my clinic, which is Atrium Osteopathy, based in Melbourne. So we're going to start the body scan. Get yourself in a comfy position, but that can be lying down, that can be sitting, sitting supported. It can also be leaning against a wall, standing, or you might choose just to stand and be really grounded to feel this. So you can practice this in any way you like. I just want to remind you about my little dance that I do that has a few names. I've called it the neurodiverse dance, and then it's also a grounding dance. It's also creates energy in people. So to do that one, you won't be able to see this, but I'm just tapping my toes, wobbling the computer screen, and you can hear it. I'm going to tap on my tummy, tap on my chest, and just tap on my head. And I find this really stimulating when I'm doing this scanning technique with patients and they can't get the words, they can't just grab a colour out of the air, then I'll just get them to tap and just remind their brain about this beautiful higher functioning part of our brain. And then I'll remind them that when we're stressed and protecting ourselves will be really working with this lower part of our brain, our limbic system, bringing in all our fear-based, protective-based memories and analysing oxygen supply and blood pressure and things like that with our lower brain. So we can just kind of stimulate this upper part of our brain, bring some awareness and blood supply here, and then we can actually use our higher thought processes and our imagination and our fun part of our brain, which will often, when we're challenged, instead of going into fight, flight, or freeze, or just how do I get out of this situation, then this part of our brain can go somewhere else and can say, what about if I do something a little bit cheeky or a little bit out of the box, or what about if I come up with a brilliant plan that I can try. So anyway, we're going to be comfortable, and I've been speaking really fast today to get this introduction in, but now the scan needs to be a little bit slower. So I'm just going to remind myself to slow down. We're going to start with the colour scan. So when I say a part of the body, you're going to say a colour in your mind or out loud. We'll start with the feet, a colour. The lower legs, a colour. The upper legs, a colour. The tailbone, a colour. The pubic bone, a colour. The hip joints, a colour. The belly button, a colour. The heart, a colour. The shoulders, a colour. The elbows, a colour. The hands, a colour. The throat, a colour. The face, a colour. The head, a colour. The brain and spinal cord, a colour. And your feet, a colour. Take some breaths. Just check in with your whole body. Get a sense of any feelings that are going around in your body now. I'm feeling quite grounded now. I feel like I've just slowed down a little bit, and I get this really lovely sense of balance where my legs feel heavy, but my upper body feels light and my shoulders have dropped. We're ready for the next scan, and this is a texture-based scan. So have a think about some textures that you might love and some textures that you might not love. So something like soft and fluffy and warm and watery and cozy. And then think about maybe rigid, grainy comes up a lot, shiny comes up a lot, dense. Those kinds of feelings and sensations that we can call textures. Clouds, as I said, leaves and grass come up a lot, and sticks come up a lot. All right, so we're thinking about a part of the body, and I'll say texture. We'll start with the feet and a texture. The lower legs and a texture. The upper legs, a texture. The tailbone, a texture. The pubic bone, a texture. The belly button, a texture. I forgot the hips, but we can do the hips. The hips, a texture. Check back in with your belly button, a texture. The heart, a texture. The shoulders, a texture. The elbows, a texture. The hands, a texture. The throat, a texture. The face, a texture. The head, a texture. The brain and spinal cord, a texture. And the feet, a texture. Just arrive back at the feet and just get another feeling of how everything feels in your body. Just acknowledge anything good, anything not so good, just acknowledge it. If the first thought is, oh, that's not so good, then just accept it. Just, oh, okay, that's there. That's there. It's okay. You can do the scan again. You could do the scan, do some breaths, redo the scan, go for a walk, redo the scan. They're really good therapeutic tools to help you get in touch with your body, just acknowledge what's there, no judgment. Just getting to know yourself better, giving yourself the space to have this internal chat. Last scan, emotions. Remember some of the emotions? I'll show you this if you want to look at the screen, open your eyes. But we've got happy and silly and scared and calm, sleepy, angry, embarrassed. Guilt and shame aren't there. Frustrated, jealous. Okay, think about your feet and emotion. Think about your lower legs and emotion. Your upper legs and emotion. Your tailbone and emotion. Your pubic bone and emotion. Your hip joints and emotion. Your belly button and emotion. Your heart and emotion. Your shoulders and emotion. Your elbows and emotion. Your hands and emotion. Your throat and emotion. Your face and emotion. Your head and emotion. Your brain and spinal cord and emotion. Arrive at your feet and emotion. Just check in. How are you feeling? What were the themes? What came up? Lots of emotions, the same emotions. What did it tell you about yourself? Have a little think about it. This could be a time to journal. Just a few emotions. This is how I felt on this day. It might have brought up memories. The emotions might have been attached to different things that have happened recently or a long time ago. Give yourself the space. You don't have to spend hours doing this. These can be little check-in tasks. So you could then use this, for example, to say, oh, my tailbone was feeling a little bit sad. And so then you could check in again later and say, how is my tailbone? I'm not asking you to change anything that you observe in your body. I think science is so pure and beautiful when science is an observing thing that we do and we apply observation without any judgment and we just build up a knowledge bank within ourselves. I think that's really good science to do that. And I think we can use all of these terms that are coming into our mindful society at the moment, where we can then apply some compassion and some warmth and love for self and some self-care around these tasks. So as always, I'd really love to hear back. I do hear back from people and it's wonderful. I'm open to any feedback. Doesn't all have to be positive. I learn from constructive feedback as well. So whatever you'd like to share with me is welcome. I hope you use these tools, and if there's anything else that you'd like to learn from me, please let me know. Hope you stay happy and well, and I'll check in again sooner next time. Take care.